4 of these nations had saved the earliest and most important examples of their destroyers, what a marvel it would have been to walk the decks of the first destroyer in the U.S. Navy, USS Bainbridge, DD-1, or the USS Clemson, DD-186, the lead ship of the post-World War I era class that proved so valuable through World War II. The sole survivor of the deadly Japanese Kagero destroyer class from World War II was the Yukikaze, which was scrapped in 1970. What was Great Britain thinking in 1967 when it scrapped the HMS Petard, arguably that nation's most famous World War II destroyer? The Petard captured Enigma machine codebooks and sank 3 different submarines in 3 different oceans, and it was still cut up. The United States unceremoniously sold the USS O'Bannon, DD-450, in 1970, and it was broken up 2 years later. The O'Bannon was a ship with 17 battle stars, of which Admiral William Halsey said, "The history of the Pacific War can never be written without telling the story of the USS O'Bannon. Time after time the O'Bannon and her gallant little sisters were called upon to turn back the enemy. They never disappointed me." Regrettably, I could not continue this book through the Korean and Vietnam Wars, wars that saw the continued service of World War II-era destroyers. There simply was not enough space. To those destroyer men who served during that time, I apologize. While we have a few destroyers preserved as ship museums, the most famous are long gone. Soon we will also lose the last of World War II's destroyer men. If you meet an elderly destroyer man, talk to him. He may well have some World War II stories that he is waiting and willing to tell. Clint Johnson, January 2018. Chapter 1. The Early Years. Weather today fine, but high waves. The graceful but deadly greyhound of the seas, the destroyer, was designed in response to a crude weapon originally controlled by a man holding ropes on the water's edge. The idea for a shore-controlled weapon evolved from an attack during the American Civil War. On the night of October 27, 1864, United States Navy Lieutenant William B. Cushing successfully sank the CSS Albemarle, a 158-foot-long Confederate ironclad, by lowering a wooden spar with a keg of gunpowder dangling from its end under the Albemarle's keel. Cushing's attacking craft was a simple 45-foot-long wooden launch powered by an exposed steam engine. The concept of a small boat sinking a capital ship by something other than cannon fire was intriguing, but the practicality of reaching an alert enemy ship with a keg of explosives was doubtful. Cushing's successful attack was daring, but also lucky. The Albemarle was tied up at a wharf on the narrow Roanoke River in Plymouth, North Carolina, guarded by sleepy pickets who did not alert the Albemarle's crew that an unidentified launch was approaching. Still, the Albemarle's sinking sparked imaginations. Just 2 years after the Albemarle's sinking, the self-powered torpedo was introduced by British-born engineer Robert Whitehead. Whitehead's original prototype in 1866 was based on an Austrian naval officer's concept of a warhead-tipped cylinder powered by wound springs, turning a propeller and guided by ropes held by handlers on shore. Whitehead's torpedo improvements included making it self-guided and powered by compressed air. His earliest practical prototype had a speed of 7 knots carrying a warhead weighing up to 60 pounds, but its range was only 200 yards. That was point-blank range for defending cannon fire, so initially it was not very practical. Before naval customers would be interested, Whitehead had to increase the range of the torpedo to keep its launching craft out of the reach of enemy cannons. He also had to improve its ability to stay on target through wind and wave action. By 1870, the Whitehead torpedo had a range of more than 700 yards. The new weapon promised to change naval warfare. For centuries, ships had fired on each other with cannons to put holes in enemy.